Thank you. We have one last question, and we'll go to the questions from the audience. Mr. Vasquez, what do you consider is fair total compensation for a Solano County Supervisor?
Well, since I'm the recipient of that paycheck, I can tell you that myself, I've given back at least 6%. I've done it quietly over the last year to follow suit with what I believe as management we should be giving back, and as leadership we should be doing. I'm paid well, but I work 7 days a week at it, and all my life I've never backed up to a paycheck, and I don't back up to this one.
We're getting the questions ready now from the audience. And Mr. Pippo, what do you consider as fair total compensation for a Solano County Supervisor?
Let me go back and recall what I was making as a county supervisor when I left office. I believe my package was $29,000. You know, but that was then and this is now. We went through a boom years, and somehow or another the board said we need to tie our salaries to the Superior Court judges' salaries. And the Superior Court judges' salaries were making a lot more, so they said, well, let's tie it to a percentage of the Superior Court judges' salaries. And that's what they did. So sometime a few years back, they said, we don't need to be making $30,000, we should be making maybe $80,000. Or 90,000, and that's what they did. They within themselves a very generous increase. The total compensation package for a supervisor today is $147,000. Total compensation, mind you, not just salary. Fair, you know, they meet 3 Tuesdays a month, and they have other committee assignments: air pollution, Fout Springs, mental health. I did all that. What do I think a fair salary is? Considering the economic times, a fair salary would be $65,000 a year. That would be a fair salary. I will propose to take an immediate cut if elected, and I will work very hard every time I meet, convincing my colleagues 2 more, that we need to take any kind of a cut to demonstrate that we're leading by example, something the board has refused to do.
Thank you. This question from the audience is for you, Mr. Pippo. The City of Fairfield intends to ban all signs, including political candidate signs, from public property. If the county leaders were to draft a similar ban of political signs on all public property, would you support such a regulation?
Yes, I would gladly show my sign locations to most anyone, and I think you'll find that 85 or 90% of them, maybe more, require private property permission. I believe in that. People want to put signs all the time on my property, and I'm not opposed to that, but you're making a statement when you put a sign. To put it on public property, I think is an eyesore, and it's a blight, and I think it's unnecessary. I noticed that I saw a proliferation of them on a lot of public properties. I'm against it. I would support a law that would require you to have private property permission and erect the sign on private property, not public property.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez, the City of Fairfield intends to ban all signs, including political candidate signs, from public property. If the county leaders were to draft a similar ban of political signs on public property, would you support such a regulation?
I support whatever entity wants to put in place. The City of Vacaville has a 30-day prohibition. Fairfield has no time. You can put your signs up early. You just have to take them down soon. The county has a 60-day statute that says you can put them up 60 days before the election. If they want to regulate the locations, that's okay with me, but as long as everybody plays by the same rules.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez, what is the most significant non-financial problem facing the county, and how would you solve that problem?
I don't know that there isn't any issue that is not financial. Everything we do has something to do with the cost of running the county itself. Some of the things we do to encourage development, I mean, again, restate that question.
What is the most significant non-financial problem facing the county, and how would you solve that problem?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer because everything we do comes with a price. So I think I'm going to leave it at that.
Thank you. Mr. Pippo, what is the most significant non-financial problem facing the county, and how would you solve that problem?
I was trying to refamiliarize myself with the county budget process, and I met with Simona Padilla. Simona. Excuse me, Simona. You know what she told me what the biggest problem was? And she said, we just have to figure out a way to do it. And that because I said, I can't find budgetary things in your files. And she says, well, we're trying to be transparent, but we just don't have the right solution to the problem. We have people like you come in and ask a question, and we know that there is accountability, but the average public person will have a really hard time trying to figure out how much contracts cost. For instance, how many millions of dollars a year does the county spend on consultants? How many millions of dollars a year does the county spend on outside contracted legal help when they're sued? I tried to find that out, and I think I probably, if we had more time, I could have figured it out, but I challenge you to go in and try to figure out those kind of figures. The transparency of this government is built on apathy. They don't want you to ask. And if you do ask, you can spend a lot of time trying to figure it out. I understand the budget book. I understand the budget process. I had many years as fire chief to work within that budget process and 8 years as supervisor. But to tell you the truth, yeah, John was right. This job is a lot different. Trying to find out the facts can be a very, very difficult proposition. So I would open up the window of understanding of the public by making public viewing of the facts easier.
Mr. Pippo, this question is for you. What are you most proud about of your record as county supervisor? What are the biggest mistakes your opponent has made as supervisor? I don't write them.
Thank you, Andy. In the 8 years that I served almost that total time on LAFCO. I had the opportunity of taking the Chevron Industrial Park and a couple of other industrial parks that lay dormant and stagnant for years. And through LAFCO, we developed an industrial park that Genentech is proud of and that we're proud of and generates a lot of tax money for Vacaville. I'm very proud of fighting with the City of Oakland to land Marine World here. Osby and Davis and I negotiated with Mr. Demetrius and came up with a scheme that put Marine World in Solano County instead of next to the Oakland Zoo. I'm very proud of the factory outlet stores, which was another project of mine when I was on LAFCO. I'm very proud on the fact that I didn't miss a meeting while I was on the Board of Supervisors. I served the public well. I'm really, really proud of the fact that I really got to demonstrate that open government is possible if you're not owing to anyone, if you don't have obligations, if you're not bought and paid for. Historically, the unions don't like me and they don't support me, and they don't this year because they can't control me. And the developers don't like me because I say no often to them. And so I don't have a lot of support from politicians, from department heads, from unions,
from organized people, because I truly am a maverick. I'm my own man. If elected this time, keep in mind, there's a whole bunch of folks out there that are taxpayers that have donated to my campaign. But you go a long ways before you found a developer that wants to pave over Solano County, a union that wants to pull a deal, a Green Valley developer who wants a special favor and a gift of public money. I think that's the areas that my opponent has given into, and that's influence of big money, big politicians, and big money groups.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez, what are you most proud about of your record as supervisor, and what are the biggest mistakes your opponent made as supervisor?
Well, some of the things I'm very proud of are the fact that in 2005, Mike Reagan and I formed the Economic and Tourism Committee. It's the first time the county began to look at economic development. For years, the county simply allowed the cities to kind of wander along and find opportunities to bring businesses. It's interesting that Mr. Pippo takes credit for the redevelopment agency. I don't remember him on the city council when two other members and I voted to put the first redevelopment agency in place, and then the second. And the second happened to be the industrial park. First happened to be downtown. I remember taking a great deal of heat over that. But some of the things we've done at the county, again, it's economic development. It's working with the cities through the 4 Cs, through the water agency, to ensure that we look at the area regionally, that somehow all of us benefit if one of us benefits. There's been better collaboration between the cities and the county than there has ever been. We've been working hard to work together to find opportunities where we can work on issues together, whether it's looking at providing services that we all need, but with more efficiently. And again, to get back to economic development and jobs, we've had a tourism summit in 2006. We've done some visioning and strategy. We've looked at agriculture and the future of agriculture, have a general plan that's become very, very favorable to agriculture. And the orderly growth has allowed the cities to prosper and for agriculture to also have the opportunity to prosper. 95% of the people live in cities, which encompasses 10% of the land. 63% of the land in Solano County is still dedicated to agriculture.